Eric Larson says, I'm curious, what is your opinion, I guess, on high cognitive assessment where you have 12 minutes to answer 50 questions? I don't know what it is, but I already kind of feel that it's absolute garbage. You know? Why would... I guess it's living proof that education has failed. Why would you need to do this? If you have educational qualifications that are presumably required and they mean something, this would be unnecessary. I guess it's a signal that they don't trust educational credentials. Either that's the fault of them being paranoid, or it's the fault of education for being useless, but this should not be required. Right? Oh, and every so often, the expression is flavor of the month. I don't think it happens every month for me, but every couple of months, I hear about a new test, whether it's a technical evaluation or psychometrics. They come and they go. They don't do any good. Companies promote them, and they get private companies and employers to buy in to it. But none have really lasted so far. Just like theories in psychology, a lot of them have their time in the sun and then they fall from favor. So like, if it's a very specific industry specific thing, and it evaluates you for a very specific technical role, and it's like a gold standard in assessing you for having the skills to function in that role. Fair enough, but I've never heard of it. So who knows? Don't be sorry, Eric. You're awesome. You're awesome. And you're going to knock it out of the park. You deserve, like this test or whatever they're making you do, I assume, just do your best and don't sweat it. Like, think of it this way, okay? You know how maybe you've done this in school where they make you do group work, and maybe they don't assign the groups, like the teams. They let you decide, okay, who do you want to work with? You find 3 other people, and then, let us know who's in your group, and then, we can register it, right? Like, that's a really scaled down version of like hiring somebody, right? Like, I need help to do this work. There's too much work for just me. And there's a sort of division of labor here, and I need someone to do this, right? And you, are wanting something from me, whether it's money, whether it's recognition, or, whatever, letter of recommendation, whatever it is, I got to pick someone. Now, if I pick the wrong person, they're going to do a terrible job, and it's going to affect me because, like, I'm in this group and I'm being evaluated based on the group work, what work the group has done. So how do you evaluate people, right? Now, there are some people out there that would say, they believe that the way to properly evaluate somebody is to give them a questionnaire, and say that would be the best way to choose the right people to be on my team. Right? That also is contingent upon people having the patience to take your questionnaire without feeling it's degrading or an excessive amount of work. They might not even really be sold on wanting to be in your group specifically anyway. You know what I mean? Maybe all the other people pair off and you're left with the last 3 people that couldn't be picked for any other group. And so you say, well, in order to work with me, you're going to need to do this questionnaire. So they're kind of like, whatever. They just do it. And then, I don't know what the questionnaire reveals, but then you're working with them. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the job search process in microcosm, right? A lot of times, if you're just trying to assess somebody's suitability, that's usually not the best way to do it. It might be a component of it, possibly, but it's certainly not the be-all, end-all. Helicopter. I had an interview today and it went really well. Well, that's good. Congratulations, Helicopter. Way to go. However, they really want me to take a personality test to see if I fit in with the culture. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's because they're idiots. I like it's also kind of a sore spot for me because, about 20, 30, 40 years ago, they used to believe in the Myers-Briggs type indicator. And that was like the only real personality type test that was somewhat well regarded by HR as a whole, right? And that has fallen from favor about 10 years ago, and they don't really go on about it as much. But it's stupid because what they did was they took the Myers-Briggs indicator, which is actually a pretty damn useful thing. I worked for a company once. I made everyone in the company take it and, all this kind of stuff. And I'd seen it like work, because it wasn't really that sophisticated. It was saying like, are you an introvert or an extrovert? Do you enjoy doing social interaction, or do you prefer to kind of do solo things like, watch TV, read books, play video games, like you can say that. That's not like hocus pocus psychobabble. That's like a legitimate measurable thing. You know what I mean? Do you make your decisions based on the facts or more the emotion, like the feeling? How does this feel? Does this feel right or not? You're getting a bad vibe, or, some people make decisions based on that, and they turn out to be pretty prescient decisions. Other people, it's very fact-based, cold, calculated, let's look at the numbers, right? That also is a measurable thing. That's not some pie-in-the-sky psychobabble. That's something you can tell in a pretty straightforward way. So that was kind of the Myers-Briggs test. It was things like that. And then what they did is HR as a sort of industry tried to graft onto that a bunch of like psychobabble bullshit, to be honest with you. They tried to use it to say, oh, you will be better in this job than someone with a different personality. And it's like, nope, because it doesn't work like that. That's not what it was created for. It never made claims to do that. But a lot of recruiters and a lot of HR consulting companies started to claim that this thing could predict based on your personality whether you'd be good in a certain role. And it was this crap, So then they conclude, oh, this thing is useless, so it doesn't work. And it's like, well, no, it does work for its intended purpose. It just was never meant to try and predict whether someone's going to work in a job. That's a very high level thing. This is not that. This is just very basic things about how you think and how you behave, It's like the reality is that you are going to work with many different types of personalities. That's the challenge. If anyone wants to move into management, you want to manage people, that's the challenge, because everyone can get along perfectly with people who are exactly like you. You're an introvert, they're an introvert. You make decisions based on numbers, they make decisions based on numbers. You guys are going to get along great. You'll communicate really well. You'll hold a lot of the same opinions. It's going to work. Try getting along and interoperating with someone who's the opposite of you. That's where it takes people management skills. You know what I mean? That's where most people don't do such a good job, right? That's where you have to be taught how to interact with people and stuff like that, because it's not intuitive and it's not easy, So this personality stuff, it's all like, it is a legitimate thing, but they're using it incorrectly. They're trying to use it to escape from taking responsibility of making a judgment call on who they think is going to work out, right? That's the other political thing that they're doing. They don't want to take the responsibility if they made a bad call, so they can always say, well, hey, the test said they would be the best candidate. I just followed the test that everybody accepts, which they don't. So you can't blame me. That's the other political reason why they're doing stuff like this.